Yes, for today's actual classwork, beside the previous forms, I want to recreate this form that I found in the nexthoparchitect.org. I will share the link down below in the description. You can find it. So these are very basic, simple geometries. We can create them with extrude and bevel and LaTeX for these other smaller parts. The idea behind this is that I want you to be able to sketch a very quick idea of something that looks like a kind of a complicated form. So let's move along. I start with creating a box. Try to get the proportions right somewhat. So this is like, say, 100 by 100. Just proportionally let it be right. So right click, convert, editable poly. Follow me step by step because this will get a little bit complicated. I want to do it right. You can do it like much easier ways. I'll show you both ways actually. So I click on extrude. I extrude it a little bit because I want to give it a little bit of an edge. Press OK. Always press OK. It will not take place otherwise. Select this face, polygon. Keep shift down. Select the one beside it so it creates a loop. Now extrude again. You see now it's by group. I don't want it to be by group. I want it to be by local normals, in that everything extrude out according to the local normals. A little bit, not that much. Okay, just to have a very little thin line of shadow. Then I select this top part. I click on bevel, and I try to approximately we'll try to create one generic shape, and then we'll try to create variation of that generic shape. Okay, so this looks okay. Press alright, press OK. I go to the side, I push this up a little bit. I push the entire thing up a little bit because some of those they have like a kind of a structure under it. I'll go to create a box. Let's say we create a simple box here. Let's have it here. Shift down. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Maybe one more, I forgot. Okay. And let's put this all now somewhere here. Let's have it more times. Okay, let's select this one. Alt, deselect the object. Let me push them here. Let's say as if it is our structural system. I just want to see some lines here. Even maybe the middle ones are not necessary. So let me just select the middle ones. Alt down and just remove it. Now, this form, the shadows on the top are very important for us. So I just press 4 to go to the polygon mode. I select this top part and I delete it. Then I press 4 again to go out of the polygon mode. You have to follow me step by step. Now I give it a shell. So I click on modifier list. I press S on the keyboard. I found the S section. Click on shell. I'll give it a little bit of thickness. You can adjust the thickness here. The outer amount or the inner amount. Depends on if you want to do it outside or inside. Looks okay now. So we have it now. We have the basic geometry. But this part, what you can do, like basically the very unorthodox way of doing it. Let's say I make a copy of this. Okay. The very unorthodox way of doing it is that after you finish editing this, again you right click, you convert it to edit poly. You go to vertices and then you start to play with this. So you say, okay, some of these are smaller, some of these are bigger, some of these have rotation. But when you do that, you'll get this kind of triangulation in the size because we didn't actually cut it. We are creating some very unorthodox geometries. So if the next part is too difficult for you, go ahead and just play with this and create different typologies. But I want to show you the right way of doing it actually before we move on. So let's say I go out of this. Let's say I remove this one. Now, before I actually start making those different typologies, I want to do something with this. I want to add a cut plane, which later on we can play with, we can rotate. To do that, we now have a shell. We don't have access to those sub-object component anymore, so we can actually slice this. So to do that, you can add an editable poly modifier on top of any other modifier, because some of them they will not let you edit poly anymore, like shell. So on top of shell, I click, press E, and I find edit poly. So another edit poly on top of shell. Now again, I have access to this. Now I can actually slice it. So after I added the edit poly again, I again open the modifier. I press S. I found slice. Slice. I open it. I found the slice plane, and I move it up. Now I can say, okay, remove the top. It will remove the top. This will give us the flexibility later on to edit it however we want. Now, if I cut it, you will see this part gets removed. So if I want to fill in this part, the way to do that is to add another edit poly on top of this. So because now we slice it, we don't have access to edit poly anymore. So I add another edit poly on top of this. Now we come to the third one, which I said I will mention later. Borders are where we have holes in the object. So I select this border. You see the entire border gets selected. Press Ctrl down. I select the other one. Then I go here and click on the bridge. So the bridge will create a bridge between two. It can be two faces, two polygons. It can be two vertices. It will create a bridge between those. So now I have everything that I need to actually move on to the next step. Actually create the typologies. Now, okay, let's select everything. Not here, here. Let's say we want to have 5 different typologies. Let me go to the top. Now, let's have 4 more of these. 1, 2, 3, 4 more of these. Okay. Now, for this one, I'll go to the side, this side actually. So I select this, go to modify. I want to go low on the modifier list and go to the very basic one. It will give you an error. You click on yes, hold. Because some of the topologies are very dependent on the shell and the other stuff, it gives an error, but click on yes, hold. Because I want to edit the basic geometry of the form actually. So let's say we have some that are much smaller and maybe a little bit larger. Let's go look at the picture. We have some that are like this. So see, as soon as I go out, it goes back to its own original form. So we have some like this. Again, I go down on the, I select the first edit poly. Yes, hold. Let's select this one. That are much smaller. As long as you don't rotate this, you can actually start moving it around, and like, because not all of them are actually centralized. So you can have it something like this. Let's go out. This one, let it stay like this. This one, let's go to edit poly. Yes, hold. Let's make it a little bit taller. Okay, now even this one we can go a little bit lower. Yes, hold. Vertices, select these. Go lower. Let's have something in the middle. Okay, let's click again. Now we have some different types of these. We can start editing those later on, but now, for example, let's say for this one, I want to have the cut plane actually cut it sideways. So let me, because we already have this type, let me create another one. Okay, and now here on this one, I go into the slice and I press slice plane. Yes, hold. Rotate it, for example, move it down. Okay, go out and just repeat. For example, for this one, maybe not for all of them. Slice, slice plane, yes, hold, bring it down. You can even have it like maybe both ways if you want to have like kind of more. Because I said I want to see your own take on this. Now let's go to this one. Modifier, slice, slice plane, yes, hold, bring it down a little bit, try to rotate it, give it a kind of a different geometry. Okay, now let's go and create a kind of let's have a look here. They are somehow intertwined. Let's have some of these, for example this one. Okay, let's have this one here. Let's have these two here. Let's have this one. Maybe here. In the middle there are some of these tiny ones. So let me see if these are the tiny ones. Yes, or shift. Let me move some of these here. Let me randomly select some of these. And just shift them here. And then these two, let them have this part. I don't like that design, so I want to give this kind of a, it looks like a kind of a village theme. So I want to give it a kind of a central space. So let's have this kind of a central space. Let's have this one here. Let's have this. Let's have these ones here. Let's have this one over here. Let's have a couple of these over here. Let's have some of this. Let me remember, this was the tall one. Over here. Of course, if you create more typologies, it will not take that much time, and if you make more typologies, it will look better. So these ones, okay, doesn't look bad. Let me go make some more of these large ones. Look like a kind of a village type. Okay, so let's decrease the central ones. This one, this one, this one, and this one. So let's have this. Let me just know where they are on the plan. Randomly, not this one. So I'm keeping the control down. Let's select everything. We'll talk about grouping later, but I didn't want to go through another topic today. Just try to select these because we want to get rid of those structural elements, and some of these are actually starting from the ground floor. So I'm just trying to find if I selected everything properly. Even if you don't select it, it will go into the object, so it's not really that important. Alright, so sorry about that. So let's push this down. Let's go in, see if they're actually on the ground, and then let's get rid of all these. Okay, now it looks okay. We have to make some of those geometries as well. I'll make one, then you can do your own thing. So let's say another box. This is just to repeat the same process, so you'll remember how to do it. Right click, convert to editable poly, select this face, bevel, out, plus. Okay, now this one, let's make it, I mean, it looks okay. Even can be larger, some of this. Okay, so now let's say we add the lattice on top of this. Let's say we get these radiuses very lower than they are now. Even much smaller. And even this, let's make it a little bit thinner. Even thinner. This is also thinner. Okay, now it looks okay. So now let's say I just copy this a couple of times and I just make it smaller. The best way of doing this smaller is actually not by doing everything smaller. Just go to edit poly and make that smaller, because then it will not affect the dimension of this. So let's move this here. This is okay. Let's move this a little bit to the side over here. Let's move one of these. Okay, let's move some here. This one, let's have one in a different dimension. So let's make this a little bit. Sorry, I clicked on another thing. Edit poly. Let's make it this one a little bit in the middle. Let's have this, and this. Go to the top. Shift down. Okay. Let's place them into some different places. This, control, shift down. Let's have it here. Let's have it here. It's just work. I mean, I see many of architecture students, they're not willing to actually work on this small stuff a little bit. They don't want to spend some time. So let's create a plane here now. So I'll tell you how to render it for today. So press F3, select everything for today, go to modifier, make everything white. Now press F3 again. It's a little bit bright, but don't be afraid. Now we're just trying to render it very simple. Now what you want to do, you want to go to create tab, under lights, not parametric, standard lights, and you pick one skylight. And you just click here. One simple skylight. Now let's render it. Let's see how it looks. F9. Oh, I'm rendering one of the side views, so let's say F10. I'm having technical difficulty here. This is not. Let's go. No, that one. Okay. Let's make sure that this view is activated. I don't know why it's happening like this. I want to render the current view. Maybe it's actually too white, so let's press F8, not F8, 8. Let's put it on automatic. F9 again. Nothing. Let me just try to see what's happening here. Cast shadow. Okay, sorry about that. When you create the light, make sure that the cast shadow is on. Because if it's not on, it will make something like that now. Okay, let's have a plane again. Let's have our plane color whitish or grayish. Now let's say F9. Now you'll see it will take some time to render. Okay, let's wait. I'm recording the screen at the same time, and my laptop is a very old laptop, so this is like maybe it will be faster for yours. You can also decrease the sampling for the light. I will show you how to do it if it takes too much time. And then if we add a little bit of shadow, we have basically recreated some of this. I'll show you when we go to a more like advanced rendering technique how to create a kind of more smooth looking like even here if you add a sky system, it will create some of those pleasant shadows. But this is for today, for now. Okay, for today. So this to practice the modifier, to practice Editable Poly, and this will be the basis for everything else that we will do from this point on. But so I want everybody just to go and like practice with Editable Poly. I didn't cover everything. You can go watch other YouTube tutorials. You can go read 3ds Max help. They have very good documentation. So I want to see something like that as your homework number, classwork number 3. There is no homework. So classwork number 3. This will be it. Thank you very much. So I want everybody to master actually the Edit Poly as much as you can. Just try to practice. When I say extrude, bevel, or something like that, don't like hesitate to do it. Just try to be familiar with those concepts. You can go try bridge, you can go try connect, you can go try even more complicated stuff. Like you can try to create the loops and the turbo smooth to create organic shape out of the low poly object. So if you have an approximate estimate of something which you want to have a kind of more organic shape, you can just create a kind of with editable poly around it, and then you can use turbo smooth to create those kind of topologies. Yeah, thank you very much, and I'll see you.